Welcome to Holy Heartbeats. My name is Nathan, and I narrate Christ-centered testimonies from all over the world. These testimonies include rapture and end-times visions, near-death experiences, encounters with angels and demons, God, Jesus, and even Satan himself. Please consider subscribing to my channel if you are fond of listening to these types of stories, and let me know what you think about these testimonies in the comments section below. Furthermore, for those who want to share their personal testimonies, visions, and revelations from God, you can send us your own stories at holyheartbeat7@gmail.com. I will be very honored to read your testimony, which may inspire, edify, and encourage a lot of people in their personal journey of faith with the Lord Jesus Christ. The Rockefeller bloodline, one of the 13 satanic bloodlines that rule the world. One of the 13 satanic bloodlines believed to rule the world is the Rockefeller bloodline. Today, there are approximately 190 members of this family who carry the Rockefeller name, along with many others who bear different surnames. This article seeks to explore how the Rockefeller bloodline is involved in promoting the occult and Satanism, as well as their role in influencing Christian denominations. While this discussion focuses specifically on the Rockefeller family, understanding the full extent of the Illuminati's control over religion, including Christendom, would likely require several volumes. The Illuminati derives its power from approximately 500 extraordinarily influential families worldwide. This article does not attempt to delve into the complex networks and numerous organizations tied to the Illuminati, nor does it aim to fully unravel the intricate web of trusts and foundations controlled by the Rockefellers. It is estimated that the family manages anywhere from 200 to several thousand trusts and foundations, many of which are hidden within layers of secret trusts. For instance, in 1970, Nelson Rockefeller reportedly did not pay any income taxes, despite being considered one of the wealthiest individuals in the United States. The Rockefeller family wields enormous influence over religion in America in several notable ways. 1. They provide a significant portion of the financial resources needed by seminaries in the United States to operate. 2. They fund a considerable share of the budgets for universities, shaping the educational landscape that influences the religious values of society. 3. They issue substantial grants to various religious organizations. 4. They use their influence to determine who receives publicity in major news magazines and on television. 5. They have contributed to the establishment of numerous anti-Christian organizations. 6. They directly control certain religious groups, such as Lucis Trust. The Rockefeller family's influence is both subtle and overt. In the book The Unholy Alliance, details are provided about how seminaries, church boards, and Christian colleges have been systematically taken over. Much of the funding for this came from the Rockefellers. One of their primary foundations that is instrumental in controlling religious institutions was the Philanthropy Fund. This foundation, incorporated in 1938 and headquartered in New York City at 50 West 50th Street, allocated substantial funds to manipulate Protestant concerns. For example, in 1964, the Philanthropy Fund granted $681,886 to various entities. By 1969, the fund's grants had grown to $1,889,550. Although the Philanthropy Fund ceased operations by 1984, other Rockefeller nonprofit organizations, such as the Rockefeller Brothers Fund, continued the work. A review of the grant patterns from the Rockefeller Brothers Fund reveals significant insights. While the grant allocations may seem random at first glance, a broader understanding of the Illuminati's objectives sheds light on their purpose. As detailed in Be Wise as Serpents, these grants often support groups aligned with the Rockefeller agenda. Although the newer Rockefeller foundations may not specifically focus on religion in the same way the Atlantic Fund once did, their influence on religious institutions and society at large remains profound. Selected grants in 1984 of the Rockefeller Brothers Fund. The Rockefeller Brothers Fund made several notable grants in 1984, including 1. Council on Foundations, $41,000. This funding was allocated toward the work of a project designed to address the lack of understanding about global interdependence and the relationship between international and domestic issues. Emphasis was placed on informational and educational programs to help funders better analyze opportunities for international grant-making. 2. Harlem Interfaith Counseling Service, $100,000. 3. Private agencies collaborating together, $25,000. This initiative encourages collaboration among private development agencies working in Africa, Asia, and Latin America. 4. Trilateral Commission, $240,000. Selected grants in 1984 of the Rockefeller Family Fund and Rockefeller Foundation. Similarly, the Rockefeller Family Fund and the Rockefeller Foundation provided significant grants in 1984. 1. American Civil Liberties Union, ACLU, $15,000. 2. American Historical Association, $42,000. 3. American Philosophical Association, $57,500. 4. Catholic University of America, $25,000. 5. Catholic University of Chile, $224,200. 6. Council on Foreign Relations, $165,000. 7. National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, NAACP, $100,000. 8. Population Council, $1,235,000. 9. University of Notre Dame, $25,000. Catholic institutions and their role in the New World Order. Catholic institutions have been significant recipients of grants from foundations tied to the world order. The Catholic Church, Episcopalian Church, and Unitarian Universalist Church have all played pivotal roles in advancing the New World Order agenda for Satanists. One ex-Satanist reported meetings with the Pope and Vatican leaders, during which the Pope interacted with this individual as a member of the Illuminati. While the Pope was not within the Illuminati hierarchy, he reportedly carried out transactions and coordinated actions according to their directives. The following sections provide deeper insights into the 6 areas of Rockefeller influence previously outlined. 1. They provide a large share of the funding required by seminaries in the United States. The Union Theological Seminary, UTS, is a prime example of a Protestant seminary supported by Rockefeller funds. While not the only seminary to receive such funding, UTS represents the influence the Rockefeller family exerts over theological education. The Atlantic Fund, a Rockefeller foundation, described its purpose as focusing primarily on Protestant theological education. David Rockefeller served as president of the Atlantic Fund during its operation, with Lawrence S. Rockefeller as vice president and Stephen C. Rockefeller as one of its trustees. 2. They provide a significant share of the funding required by universities. In 1952, Congressman Eugene E. Cox led a committee to investigate the activities of foundations like the Rockefellers. Cox encountered fierce opposition and mysteriously became ill and died before completing the investigation. Despite limited time and resources, Congressman Carroll Reese and his counsel, Renee Wormser, uncovered critical information. Their investigation revealed that, beginning in the 1930s, vast sums of Rockefeller and Carnegie Foundation money were directed toward promoting John Dewey's educational philosophies, Marxism, a one-world government agenda, and socialism. These foundations collectively provided 2/3 of the total endowment funding for all higher learning institutions in America during the early 20th century. The National Education Association, NEA, also received significant funding from the Rockefeller and Carnegie Foundations. A 1934 NEA report stated, "A dying laissez-faire must be completely destroyed, and all of us, including the owners, must be subjected to a large degree of social control." Reese Committee counsel Renee Wormser later wrote, "The investigation leads one to the conclusion that there was indeed something in the nature of an actual conspiracy among certain leading educators in the United States to bring about socialism through the use of our school systems. Investigations revealed that the Rockefeller Foundation was the primary force behind the promotion of socialism in American schools and universities, as well as the policies of the National Education Association, NEA." Renee Wormser, counsel for the Reese Committee, stated, "A very powerful complex of foundations and allied organizations has developed over the years to exercise a high degree of control over education. Part of this complex, and ultimately responsible for it, are the Rockefeller and Carnegie groups of foundations. This was the situation in the 1950s when the Reese Committee conducted its brief investigation. For the next 40 years, the Rockefeller-Carnegie groups have operated largely unopposed in their control of education. One notable example of their influence lies in the publishing company Grolier Inc., where Avery Rockefeller Jr. serves on the board. Another influential figure, Theodore Waller, the director of Grolier Inc., is a member of the International Book Committee of UNESCO. This connection highlights the Rockefeller family's substantial influence over the United Nations. On January 31, 1945, John D. Rockefeller addressed the Protestant Council of the City of New York, proclaiming that the solution to Christianity's problems was for it to become the Church of the Living God. Many attendees may not have realized the cryptic meaning behind his words, that he and other top Illuminati figures consider themselves living gods. John D. Rockefeller was suggesting that Christianity should serve their interests as living gods. The Rockefeller family wields tremendous influence over various magazines and newspapers. Their power extends into the realm of religion through their control over media outlets. For example, Time magazine has ties to the Rockefeller family through Andrew Heiskell, its board chairman, who was closely associated with David Rockefeller. Other publications also reflect this influence. Henry J. Fisher, an Illuminati figure, managed McCall's magazine from 1917 to 1956. During this time, the media establishment amplified the prominence of Anton LaVey's Church of Satan. On January 31, 1967, the New York Daily News published a story about LaVey performing the first satanic wedding ceremony in the United States. Similarly, the March 1970 issue of McCall's featured a glowing article on the Church of Satan, portraying it even more positively than reality warranted. This free publicity for LaVey's organization served to popularize Satanism, while deflecting attention from more covert forms of Satanism. On June 19, 1972, Time magazine published yet another article titled "The Occult, a Substitute Faith," giving further exposure to LaVey and his ideas. In stark contrast, devout Christian groups rarely receive such favorable media coverage. Figures like 33rd degree Mason Billy Graham, who is aligned with the New World Order, and Charles T. Russell, founder of the Watchtower Society and a Knights Templar Mason, have enjoyed significant press coverage due to their connections. Other subtle examples of media influence include the promotion of anti-Christian UFO theories by Erich von Däniken, whose books were published by G.P. Putnam's Sons, a company owned by MCA. MCA's head, Lou Wasserman, is a member of the Rockefeller University Council. This pattern extends even to Marvel Comics, owned by Cadence Industries, whose board members have connections to David Rockefeller. Marvel Comics has frequently promoted occult themes and figures like the Son of Satan. Where does this influence stop? While some may argue that the Rockefeller family doesn't directly control their subordinates, the evidence suggests otherwise. Many members of the Rockefeller family identify as Baptists. If they were truly Christians, wouldn't their influence be used to prevent such destructive activities? The reality is that the corruption begins at the top. When the apex of the pyramid is dedicated to sinister goals, the foundation below has little chance of turning out well. The collaboration between Rockefeller and William Randolph Hearst in controlling media monopolies further demonstrates their influence. It was Hearst who promoted books on Satanism, while simultaneously backing figures like Billy Graham. These two actions may seem contradictory, but for those who understand the deeper connections, they are not. Hearst played a pivotal role in shaping Billy Graham's rise by providing financial support and extensive publicity. Rockefeller supported Graham's New York crusade, with additional assistance from the Manhattan Chase Bank. The Rockefeller family has played a significant role in fostering various anti-Christian organizations. Maurice Strong, a close ally of the Rockefellers, has actively promoted the worship of Mother Gaia. David Rockefeller works closely with Strong, endorsing his New Age philosophies. Reverend Sun Myung Moon of Korea, who claims to be Christ, is another figure supported by the Rockefellers. Moon has founded a religion that promotes internationalism while serving as a testing ground for brainwashing and recruitment techniques. His movement has been endorsed by several prominent political figures with ties to the New World Order, including Ted Kennedy, Freemason Mark C. Hatfield, Freemason Jesse Helms, and Illuminatus William F. Buckley, Jr. Another lesser-known group is the Spiritual Frontiers Fellowship, SFF, based in Independence, Missouri. Founded in 1956, the SFF claims to be a Christian organization but teaches and practices occult principles. Marcus Bach, born in 1906, serves as the Director of Special Projects for SFF. His Rockefeller Foundation Fellowship for Research and Creative Writing in the mid-1930s reflects the Rockefeller connection. Gardner Murphy, another prominent figure in SFF, was a UNESCO consultant in 1950 and served as the Director of Research at the Menninger Foundation from 1952 to 1968. Menninger himself, a Freemason and member of multiple elite environmental groups, has close ties to W. Clement Stone, another Freemason and backer of the Menninger Foundation. These connections highlight the occult and elitist influences behind the scenes. The Federal Council of Churches, FCC, has also been significantly financed by Rockefeller money. Evidence suggests that the FCC was deliberately designed to undermine Christianity. While appearing as a grassroots movement, the FCC was, in reality, an elite-driven initiative spearheaded by high-ranking Freemasons, socialists, and globalists. Its leaders carefully manipulated the Christian gospel to serve their own agenda. David Rockefeller holds a management role within Lucis Trust, an organization deeply rooted in occult and New Age ideologies. Lucis Trust publishes the book Externalization of the Hierarchy by Alice Bailey, which outlines a detailed plan for the spiritual hierarchy, interpreted by many as a demonic hierarchy, to exert its rule over the planet. This book serves as a textbook for New Age practitioners, especially at the arcane schools in New York, London, and Europe. It provides a blueprint for ushering in the New Age agenda, including a one-world religion and one-world government. For those who doubt the Rockefeller family's allegiance to such causes, Externalization of the Hierarchy offers explicit evidence. Lucis Trust and the Rockefeller Connection. Alice Bailey, president of the Theosophical Society and a key figure in Lucis Trust, formerly Lucifer Trust, provides unsettling insights into the leadership of the New Age, New World Order in her writings. According to her, the earthly ruler of this new era is Lucifer, while on the spiritual level, referred to as Shambhala, the holy city, the coming ruler is identified as the Lord of the world. For Christians, this entity is recognized as Satan. While Lucis Trust acknowledges this, they publicly claim the ruler of the world is Sanat Kumara, a thinly veiled anagram of Satan. Bailey's book, Externalization of the Hierarchy, emphasizes that three primary institutions will usher in the New Age: Masonic lodges, churches, and education. This framework reveals how influential figures, including the Rockefellers, exploit religious institutions for the Luciferian agenda of Lucis Trust. Education is highlighted as a safety net, ensuring that even those who do not attend churches are exposed to brainwashing, promoting a society of contented subservience under the light bearer. The Rockefeller lifestyle. The Rockefellers' lifestyle is far removed from that of the average person. The family owns over 100 homes worldwide, including vast estates in South America, such as properties in Brazil, Ecuador, and their Monte Sacro ranch in Venezuela. In the United States, they possess mansions in Washington, D.C., ranches across the country, luxurious resorts in Hawaii, Puerto Rico, and the Caribbean, a sprawling 32-room Fifth Avenue duplex in New York City, a summer retreat in Seal Harbor, Maine, and the grand estate at Pocantico Hills, New York. It is estimated that the family employs around 2,500 household staff. Despite their immense wealth, they have garnered a reputation for being tight-fisted with their employees and even with one another. The darker side of their private lives is equally notable. Winthrop Rockefeller, who lived in Arkansas with a male partner, was rumored to have the world's largest pornography collection. Winifred Rockefeller Emeny, a cousin of Nelson Rockefeller, tragically murdered her 2 children before taking her own life. Michael Rockefeller met a gruesome fate when he attempted to bribe New Guinea tribesmen, who had abandoned headhunting, to create shrunken heads for him. Frustrated by his persistence, the tribesmen eventually turned on Michael, making him the subject of their headhunting. Occult practices and legacy. Many members of the Rockefeller family have lived troubled lives, often filled with fears and involvement in occult practices. They are known to have incorporated hidden tunnels and secret rooms into many of their buildings, underscoring their preoccupation with secrecy. Over time, the family has developed their occult and worldly influence to such an extent that they view themselves as deities. High-ranking Satanists, such as those in the Rockefeller family, often undergo violent ritual deaths in keeping with traditional practices. One such individual reportedly died in Arizona and was cremated following the ritual. Exploring the House of Rockefeller. The first in-depth article about the Rockefeller family appeared in this newsletter in mid-December 1992, Volume 13, Issue 3-8. That article primarily focused on the family's control over significant segments of Protestant groups in the United States, while also shedding light on their involvement in satanic occult practices. The notorious William Avery Rockefeller. The first infamous Rockefeller widely acknowledged by independent researchers is William Avery Rockefeller, 1810-1906. He was a man devoid of morals, deeply involved in the occult, and a practitioner of magic. William maintained bigamous relationships across the country, had numerous mistresses, and engaged with a large number of sexual partners. Accused of raping a woman, he fled New York to avoid imprisonment. Despite his immoral lifestyle, William lived lavishly, dressing in the finest clothing and never lacking money, including gold coins. He enjoyed gambling, and much of his wealth came from dishonest means. His life parallels those of other men identified as part of the Illuminati. It is essential to note that the Illuminati is known to conduct numerous secret occult marriages, which remain hidden from outsiders. One of William's wives was Eliza Davidson, 1813-1849, a woman described by some as pious, but remembered by others as extraordinarily cruel. While historians funded by elite interests portray Eliza as virtuous, her actions suggest otherwise. When she married William, she moved in with him and his mistress, reflecting a life far from the image of religious devotion often associated with her. The first notably wealthy Rockefeller, William Avery Rockefeller, fathered many illegitimate children, and it is speculated that some may have been born for ritualistic or cult purposes. His wife, Eliza, bore him 6 children, the most notable being John Davison Rockefeller. John D. Rockefeller became one of the most powerful men in the world, elevating the family into global prominence. One of the best-kept secrets of John D. Rockefeller's success was his covert dealings with other Illuminati families, such as the Pacers. These families played an integral role in his rise to power. Additionally, John D. Rockefeller's unrelenting ruthlessness was a significant factor. He was willing to do anything to achieve his goals. John established the family's principal estate at Pocantico Hills, New York, where over 100 Rockefeller family members are believed to reside on this expansive private land. A survey of Rockefeller influence. The Rockefellers have strategically diversified their holdings into entities they control, though nominally they do not appear as owners. Their financial power is far greater than it seems, as they can transfer funds between their organizations without relinquishing control. These donations appear philanthropic but ensure their influence remains intact. Even their corporate logos hint at deeper connections. For example, Standard Oil uses the satanic pentagram encased in a circle. Other companies linked to the Rockefellers include Texas Instruments, General Electric, Eastman Kodak, and Boeing. Reports suggest that occult activities, including monarch mind control programming, have occurred at Boeing plants in the Seattle area. The Rockefellers also control Delta Airlines, whose triangular Delta symbol is widely recognized as a satanic emblem. This may explain why prominent Illuminati members, CIA operatives, world financiers, and individuals like Chuck Colson frequently use Delta Airlines. Global real estate and Lucis Trust connections. The Rockefellers own vast tracts of land throughout South America and hold properties across the United States, from Hawaii and Texas to Florida and Seal Harbor, Maine. Interestingly, former President George H.W. Bush frequently visited Maine during his tenure, further suggesting connections to Rockefeller influence. The family's ties extend beyond business and real estate. They have been deeply involved with Lucis Trust and the United Nations. Prince Charles, a member of another satanic bloodline, serves as a spokesperson for Lucis Trust and collaborates with the United Nations on various initiatives. For more information on Lucis Trust and its significance, readers are encouraged to consult Be Wise as Serpents. The Rockefeller connection to the FBI. The Rockefellers played a role in the creation of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, which has functioned as a tool for the Illuminati since its inception. Disturbingly, the FBI is implicated in covert programs that involve the kidnapping of children for ritual sacrifice. The American public must recognize that the so-called protector has in fact become the predator. The role of the Finders and FBI corruption. The Finders is an organization operating as part of the FBI, with deeply troubling activities tied to its name. The corruption surrounding this group was so blatant that U.S. News & World Report published an article attempting to soften the scandal's impact. Former Satanists who worked alongside the FBI, receiving kidnapped children sold for ritual sacrifice, have been striving to expose the Bureau's corruption. During the Franklin Savings and Loan case in Lincoln, Nebraska, when the Illuminati began to face exposure, the FBI played a significant role in covering up the scandal. The Rockefellers, who have held control over the FBI since its inception, ensured the organization's complicity. When Congress sought to investigate wrongdoing within the CIA, they appointed a commission headed by none other than a Rockefeller. Predictably, the Rockefeller Commission conducted a so-called thorough investigation, producing a report that lightly reprimanded the CIA for minor transgressions while overlooking its more egregious actions. Given the Rockefellers' partnership with the CIA in creating monarch slaves, these darker activities were conveniently ignored. Testimonies of FBI and CIA child kidnapping programs. Michael MacArthur, a recent convert from Satanism, has provided credible insider information about FBI and CIA programs involved in kidnapping children for use in satanic rituals. MacArthur has identified several agents complicit in these horrific activities. Chucky Mike Peters, FBI hitman from Division 5, connected to the Inslaw case. Nickel Hara, FBI agent involved in abducting children for sacrifice. Unda Krieg, Satanist working for the FBI. Ken Lanning, FBI agent who abducts children for sacrifice. Nick O'Hara, FBI hitman and Satanist, covering up child kidnappings through murder. Cape Richardson, CIA agent involved in child abductions for sacrifice. These revelations highlight the depth of corruption within federal agencies and their connections to satanic rituals. Rockefeller influence in politics and society. A strategic coup d'etat, detailed in Be Wise as Serpents, was executed to install Nelson A. Rockefeller as vice president without risking an election. The Rockefeller family's influence extends into both education and religion, primarily through their powerful foundations. The Rockefellers have played key roles in shaping the Council on Foreign Relations, CFR, and promoting global governance. Nelson Rockefeller authored The Future of Federalism, advocating for the unification of nations into a single world government. For decades, The Rockefellers have funneled billions of dollars into projects and international organizations working to establish a public one-world government, a system that many argue already exists in secret. The family's global influence extends to decisions impacting Russia, China, and other parts of Asia. With significant holdings and assets in these regions, the Rockefellers maintain a vested interest in international affairs. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching. Stay safe and I'll see you in our next video.